When you come out of the metro station, you're met with an impressive building. That is the Qatar National Museum. The museum is designed in the shape of a desert rose crystal by the French architect Jean Nouvel, and it's basically a series of discs that are interlocked with cavities in between to provide visitors with shade and also to create that distinctive look and feel of a desert rose crystal. So this museum, I'm going to do a tour around on the outer areas, grounds, just to give you a feel for what it is, what's here, what it does, and what you can discover when you come here. So although the overall height is around about 4 to 5 stories, it actually occupies a very prominent elevated position and can be seen from all directions. In fact, from the Corniche, the sea walk, it looks as though it just rises from the sea and is an impressive structure that welcomes you into vast grounds of roughly 1.5 million square foot. The museum itself is about 500,000 square foot, so it's spread over 3 floors, 4 or 5 floors, depending on whether you count some of the mezzanine floors as full level floors. So this new museum, which was due to open back in 2016, was in fact delayed until around about March, April 2019. It actually sits at the site of the old museum, old National Museum, and currently the complex includes a presidential palace on its grounds. So you get to see not just the museum but the palace as well. Got parking for nearly 500 cars. It's got several acres of landscaped gardens, trees, parkland, and that's just on the outer perimeter. Internally, the idea of having a national museum was first conceived back in the early 70s, just after Qatar's independence from the UK in 1971, and the then Emir Hamad wanted to preserve the historical artifacts and traditions and items relating to the culture and history of Qatar, and he commissioned that a museum is built on this site, and it was and subsequently opened around about 1975. But over time it outgrew what they wanted in there, and so they came up with this idea and this competition to design a futuristic museum that can reflect the history and the heritage of Qatar, but also be something that becomes iconic and stands the test of time for years to come. So there is a palace in the background, and here is the back end of the museum, and you can see, if you've never seen a desert rose crystal, then I suggest you go on Google and do a quick search, and you discover it is basically just working with disc plates crisscrossing each other to create a very intricate shape and design. And this particular architectural feature here, it so closely resembles the actual desert rose crystal that it's actually very uncanny, and the way the whole thing has been tied together in specifically designed pieces. You can see where they're not just random pieces, they were actually individually cut, laser cut and designed to fit perfectly within each of the discs. So there you go, I'm just at the back end of this museum. I'm going to go right round to the other side, give you a better view from the front. Internally, the floors have millions of artifacts relating to Qatar going back hundreds of years. There are focuses particularly on Qatar's pearl fishing, history of the dough boats of pearls. There are exhibitions on the nomadic lifestyle of the Qatari people going back decades. There's exhibitions in reference to the long period of British rule. And then there is the temporary exhibitions and installations that they also have in here. It comes from various parts of the Middle East, Iraq, Persia, Iran, and they're using this museum, this platform, to showcase many of those historical artifacts that would otherwise not have a home or provide people the opportunity to see, learn and understand and discover the richness of the region. So since they opened back in March 2019, they've had an estimated 500,000 people coming in and out of here. There are cafes and restaurants in here like with every museum. You can get a day pass as part of the Qatar Creates one pass scheme, which gives you access to all the cultural facilities like museums, art galleries, theatre, music festivals, that sort of thing. So during the football, the visitors have been able to take advantage of the one pass scheme, and they've been able to go and visit many of these places. I actually visited the museum proper, had a long good walk and look inside when I visited in late 2019, but my association with this building goes back a little bit longer. So back in 2015 I came here when it was still a structure, a shell, and I just came along. It's a Korean company that was responsible for building this museum, and I remember coming to the foreman's cabin and saying to him if there were any jobs going in. The first thing he said was that they don't have control over the supply of the labour on the site. He spoke very good English. I explained to him that I wasn't looking for a day job as a labourer or anything like that, but actually I had an interest, and I wondered whether it would give me an opportunity to spend some time with them to watch and learn what they're doing and how they're doing it. And again, just to give you an idea in terms of the wider area, very much landscaped, plants and trees, very green, provides a beautiful setting for people to come along for picnics, for get together and friends, and a place to meet. The cafes inside are very, very good. You can get some fantastic food in there as well. There are good restaurants, and it's like with a lot of what they're doing in Qatar, is tying all of these different places together. So you can see in the background, I don't know if you can just about see that is Stadium 974, and beyond that is the actual beach. So that's Stadium 794. I've done a separate video on that if you want to have a look. Just gave you an idea about and the history of that stadium and what the purpose of it is. And just to confirm how close we are to the sea, there's a map there showing you parking into the Corniche, but actually a bit more evidence of exactly how close we are to the Corniche, the seaside promenade, the walk that takes you, the 6.5 kilometer walk that takes you from here all the way to West Bay and the Sheraton. Again, I've done a long walk, a long video on that if you want to have a look. And there in the distance you can see some cruise liners. There you go, they're very much stationed just off the back of the Museum of Islamic Art. And these cruise liners have been hosting a lot of the teams, the players, their families and children. And there you are, that's Stadium 974, very, very close proximity. This museum's position is very, very prominent, and when you're walking across the Corniche, the promenade, you see it rising from the ground. And just to give you some context, there you are, that is a very impressive structure indeed. As I said, internally I'm not going in today. There's this fountain here as well. These black squiggles that you see, they're actually Arabic letters. I'm spraying some water on me, but yeah, so the whole grounds here has been designed for pedestrians, for visitors to be able to walk comfortably in the shade. These discs, the way they are crisscrossing, provides you that perfect shade at all times, so that the sun does not inconvenience you from being able to see. This is what I meant about the mezzanine flooring. So it's about 5 floors, I would say, maybe another one stretching up to about 6, but it's a beautiful setting on the Corniche coastline. And when I've come here previously, I've seen actually these areas there just along where the discs meet the ground. They're actually much greener, and there were some cafes and restaurants spilling out, I think maybe on the other side. Yeah, it's up there in front. Maybe I didn't see that right, but it is a architectural feat, and certainly a unique. You wouldn't find this anywhere else in the world. It is a one-off, and it's very, very distinctive, instantly recognizable from all directions of Doha. And there you are in the distance, you can see, if I just zoom in, that's your city centre. It's about 4.5 kilometers from where I am now. And the sun goes down, it's a nice gentle walk along the Corniche, which has become a fan boulevard. So it feels a lot smaller, tighter and easier to manage, because you've got various things going on that sort of break your walk, whether it's places to eat or big screens showing replays and games, and other street entertainment that's going on. So here's the entrance to the museum, and it sits proud in front of this water fountain with all the Arabic letters of the alphabet. The cruise liners in the back there, the main road that leads to the airport, in about 10 miles, roughly 15-20 minutes straight to the airport. So this is actually the way you come in to Doha from the airport, in the opposite direction. And This is actually a very peaceful, calm place. Even though there's a 6-8 lane highway running in front of it, the water and the fountains actually absorb some of that noise, and they themselves provide a different type of noise, which is a bit more appealing, a bit more soothing and comforting. And the water, the way I'm quite away from the fountains, but the way they've been designed, actually they're spraying a lot of water over in my direction. This is what I meant earlier about the cafes. Not many people out here at the moment. It is quite hot still, even though it's in the shade. Nonetheless, Desert Road Rose Cafe, and there are other restaurants. I'm just going to go around the rest of the perimeter on this side, parallel to the Corniche, just to give you an idea. This is definitely a place to visit. Plenty to see inside. There's an aquarium, there are children's play areas as well, and it just lends itself for a nice relaxing stroll in the afternoon, in the evening. Like with a lot of buildings in Doha, light plays a very important role, and of course this is also lit up in different lighting, mood lighting you can call it. And there's a platform there where people are standing looking back out into the sea, and then you've got the city, the old city in the background. Plenty of tourists, paying tourists. It's about £30 to go in. Children are free. You can get a family pass, which is, as I said, if you get the one pass, which gives you access to all of Qatar's museums and galleries and theatres and music academies and what do you call them? All of the other arty places. The orchestra, things like that. And you can see how close it is to the city centre and the skyscrapers in the background. This is the lower end of the rows. The higher end is behind me, but it's in different segments. And in fact, rather than going that way, I'm going to head towards the middle of the rows, and there you'll get a sense of, and again, the internal courtyard, which is actually not simply a courtyard for space, but actually this is how these desert rose crystals, I keep calling it desert rose crystals form in a sort of circular shape, and they create that natural void in the middle. And this is what this design has also captured very, very well. So we're seeing now, I've just come up some stairs. You can see people are on a platform on top of one of the discs. These discs are concrete discs, of course. So there's no danger of. So here we are in the inner courtyard area. And it should give you a sense of, there's about 1.5 million square foot across the whole complex, and the museum itself occupies about 500,000 square foot of exhibition space. There's an auditorium in there for about 200 people. They're showing sort of various programs and visiting exhibitions and presentations. The other thing about this museum is that not only does it want to reflect, of course, the past, Qatar's past, and share with the world its journey from a pearl fishing harbour to now an energy powerhouse. And so some of the stuff, one of the sections actually focuses on the future and how Qatar is reinventing itself and its identity for the future, based not on pearls so much, but on petroleum and gas. So huge expanse, courtyard in the middle, very organic in the way the whole thing has been installed and put together. Plenty of spaces for people to sit and just relax and enjoy and mingle and gather, and of course it provides a beautiful backdrop for photographs, pictures, and that's what lots of people do when they come here, videos and pictures like I'm doing now. So when you get a chance and you come out here, do make a day of it in here, because it really is worth looking into, because not only will you learn about Qatari life and culture and history, but you'll learn about the Middle Eastern life and culture and where the future is for Qatar and this region, and how that sits in the wider world context of what nations will look like and what they will do and how they will achieve it. So I hope you enjoyed this very short tour and commentary. Do visit Qatar National Museum. It's very, very well connected, very accessible metro station on the Corniche, right next to the sea. You have to be here to be able to feel the beautiful sea breeze that meets you and hits you, and it cancels out the heat of the sun, and it is one of the most pleasant places in all of Doha. I will see you again soon on another location with another video as part of my World Cup 2022 Qatar tour.